Before we build the face frame, I want to quickly interrupt and talk about the design. This is the final design that we came up with for both sides of the kitchen after many discussions. On the one side, there's a large cupboard, followed by a pull-out larder, a butler-style sink, another larder, and then finally the dishwasher. The sink unit juts out into the room by 100mm. On the other side is a cupboard and drawer, then the oven with a hob above it, followed by another cupboard and drawer, then the fridge-freezer combo. Above this side is a unit for a microwave, combined with a bookshelf, and also another cabinet for storage. Underneath the units on both sides will be kick drawers for added storage. Once the design was finalised, I then converted it into something that I could actually manufacture using SketchUp. I included all the joinery in this model so that I could get the final dimensions for all the parts and pieces. I then laid out all the parts on 8 by 4 sheets in SketchUp to minimise the wastage. The face frame itself is made from poplar. So first I ripped the long boards into more manageable lengths using a circular saw. Some boards, such as this one however, were too wide to fit through my planer, so first I had to rip them at the table saw. At the jointer, I flattened one face and squared one edge of the boards. With one flat face, I could then plane the other side, taking off a couple of millimetres at a time, until I got a final thickness of 20mm on all the boards. Running the square edge against the table saw fence, I then ripped it into strips. Using the mitre gauge, I squared one end, measured, marked, and cut it to length. Where the face frame wraps around the sink, I opted to use a mitre joint for a clean joint. To make sure that the joint was perfectly square, I cut both sides in one cut. I had adjusted the fence so that the first cut produced a strip that was 40mm wide, which is the width that I'm going for with my face frame. I could then run the second piece through with the mitred edge up against the fence to get it to its final width. To glue the joint, I placed a spacer piece underneath the wider half, then clamped that to my extension table. I could then slide the smaller piece up to it once I'd applied a thin film of glue across the joint. Using clamps sideways, I could then pull the joint together, and by adjusting each set of clamps individually, I could get a perfect joint. Once the glue had set up, I then cut it to length using the mitre gauge. It was then time to dry fit both sides of the kitchen, to double check that everything fitted, and also finally to get a feel for how the kitchen was going to look. Eventually the face frame will be joined together with pocket screws, from behind, and then fitted to the carcasses. But first I want to build all the carcasses just to double check that everything fits so I can make any adjustments before I screw it all together. In the next part, I'll be building the torsion box bases for the units. Until then, thanks for watching.